What's up, everybody? I'm back, and I'm continuing to go over everything that was being printed in the press at the time of Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey's arrest, their trial, and everything post-trial as well. Now, we are well into the post-trial articles of these videos. The first one from today is from October 6, 2016, and it is from the Madison, Wisconsin State Journal. The headline is, "Prosecutors Appeal to Keep Brendan Dassey in Prison." Prosecutors want a federal judge to keep a man convicted in a case profiled in the popular Making a Murderer Netflix series behind bars while they appeal his release. A federal judge ruled in August that investigators tricked Brendan Dassey into confessing that he helped his uncle Stephen Avery kill Teresa Halbach. The judge ordered Brendan Dassey freed from prison unless prosecutors appealed. Attorneys for the state Justice Department filed a brief Thursday arguing Brendan Dassey should stay in prison because he's a serious threat to public safety. Brendan Dassey's attorneys have asked the judge to release him while the state's appeal is pending. The brief from the state attorney notes that the judge said his ruling would be stayed if appealed. The next article from today is from October 20th, 2016, and it is from the Madison, Wisconsin State Journal. It is 2 weeks after the previous article. Brendan Dassey confession not coerced, Attorney General says. Wisconsin Attorney General asked a federal appeals court Wednesday to let stand the conviction of a man found guilty of killing Teresa Halbach. A federal judge ruled in August that investigators tricked Brendan Dassey into confessing he helped his uncle kill Teresa Halbach. Brendan Dassey, who turned 27 Wednesday, was 16 at the time of the crime. The judge ordered that Dassey be freed unless prosecutors appealed or decided to retry him. In a brief filed with the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, Attorney General Brad Schimmel urged the appeals court to reject Brendan Dassey's claim that his confession was coerced. Substantial police coercion is required for any confession to be ruled involuntary, Schimmel said, and he said the Wisconsin Court of Appeals was right to affirm in 2013 that Brendan Dassey's confession was voluntary. Judge William Duffin held that investigators made specific promises of leniency to Dassey and that no fair-minded jurist could disagree. He cited one investigator's comment early in the interview that you don't have to worry about things, plus repeated comments like, "It's okay, they already knew what happened." The judge's ruling ignores both the facts and the law, the Attorney General said. Investigators didn't promise leniency. Man, what a crock. He said he specifically told Dassey they couldn't make any promises. The teenager willingly spoke with investigators and was properly informed of his rights. Schimmel said the interview took a few hours in the middle of the day while Dassey sat on a couch and drank a soda. The investigators spoke in normal tones. Of course they did. They're not going to scream at the kid. They knew exactly what they were doing and did not threaten him or make false promises. They absolutely did. And Dassey confessed to most of the important details within an hour in response to the open-ended questions, he added. He responded because he wanted to go back to school. This is so painfully obvious. The state's court conclusion that Dassey's confession was voluntary is not only reasonable, it is entirely correct. Accordingly, Dassey is not entitled to relief, the Attorney General said. I personally don't understand how you can watch that and not see how he was led, not see how they were feeding him the information, promising him things, the way they spoke to him, the way they put the investigators put their hand on his leg to make him feel safe. Just all absolutely disgusting things. If Brendan Dassey was an adult with no learning deficit, with just completely average, normal human being that had a normal IQ, that was understood things, you would not have seen an investigator reach out and put their hand on his leg. Just things you would not see. This next article is from November 15th, 2016. Judge orders Brendan Dassey's release. Nephew from Making a Murderer could be home by Thanksgiving. A man whose homicide conviction was overturned in a case profiled in the Netflix series Making a Murderer could be celebrating Thanksgiving at his home with his family in Wisconsin after a judge Monday ordered him released from prison. Brendan Dassey's release was ordered by U.S. Judge William Duffin, even as prosecutors appealed the judge's earlier ruling overturning Brendan Dassey's conviction. It is not clear how quickly Dassey will be released. He faces a Tuesday deadline to provide information on where he will live, and federal probation officers must also inspect the site before he is released. Where's this judge now? Where's Judge William Duffin? Does anybody out there know what he's up to these days? Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimmel. Somebody told me he is running, the Attorney General here, is running for some sort of office or running for something in Wisconsin now. I don't know if that's true, but I would also like to know that as well. Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimmel promised to file an emergency motion in the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to keep, gotta go back a page here, Dassey behind bars. Duffin ruled in August that investigators tricked Dassey into confessing he helped his uncle kill Teresa Halbach. The state appealed the ruling and argued Brendan Dassey should remain in prison while it is pending. Court documents described Dassey as a slow learner who had poor grades and difficulty understanding language and speaking. In his August ruling, Duffin said investigators made specific promises of leniency to Dassey and that no fair-minded jurist could disagree. Schimmel, in his appeal, said investigators didn't promise leniency, and they specifically told Dassey that no promises could be made. The appeal is expected to be argued sometime next year. State prosecutors argued that in the meantime, Brendan Dassey should remain in prison because he's a serious threat to safety. That's not even Brad Schimmel believes that Brendan Dassey was a threat to anybody. He's just protecting the people that coerced Brendan Dassey's confession so that everybody still looks good in the eyes of the law. In Wisconsin. Brad, even though you did succeed in keeping Brendan Dassey behind bars, you absolutely failed in making sure everybody involved looked good. But Duffin, in ordering Dassey set free, cited his extremely good prison disciplinarian record and the fact that he had no convictions before the Halbach case. Dassey, now 27, was 16 when Halbach was killed. The judge ordered Dassey released as soon as the federal probation office approved where he would live and completed whatever additional investigation it deems necessary. Dassey's attorney, Stephen Drizzen, said he didn't know how long it would take, but he hopes Brendan Dassey would be freed by Thanksgiving. That's what I'm focused on right now, getting him home, getting him with his family, and then helping him reintegrate back into society while his appeal plays out. Drizzen would not exactly say where Brendan Dassey would live. Given that his family is in the northeast Wisconsin, there is little chance Brendan Dassey would try to flee. The judge said under the judge's order, Dassey would be forbidden from having contact with Avery or Halbach's family. Dassey's attorney filed a motion seeking his release in September after Duffin overturned his conviction. The filing said that Dassey had developed a plan with a social worker that calls for him to live initially with his mother in a family-owned trailer in rural northeastern Wisconsin, about 100 miles from Manitowoc, arguing that would minimize the disruption for the community, Dassey, and the Halbach family. The plan calls for Dassey to later relocate to an apartment in Brown County, and that his mother and stepfather would rent for him. He would then start participating in educational and job training. That is the last article we're going to go over today. So all about Brendan Dassey and Brendan Dassey's coerced confession. Brad Schimmel doesn't even believe, in my opinion, what Brad Schimmel states in these articles, stated in those interviews back then, that he thinks Brendan Dassey is a threat to society. Just an absolutely ridiculous thing to say. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you again soon.